name's Zoe and it's a great privilege to be one of the ministers here at Dalby Anglican. It has been so wonderful to journey with you in our weekly devotionals through Lent, and a big shout out to our friends at Sunnybank Anglican and Bouval Anglican churches as we've been able to journey not only as individual churches but as a wider Anglican community. Well, with the seasons changing in the last week, with this amazing rain that we've had, I've been able to spend a bit of time in the kitchen cooking. I love cooking and I love having just the right tools to help me get the best dish out. I'm being known to buy some pretty quirky but very useful gadgets to use in the kitchen. David, my husband, on the other hand, is a good cook but far more utilitarian in his approach. He will do whatever he needs with whatever implements he's got to achieve that result. Now, it always tastes good, but sometimes it means that very useful gadget that I've bought is still sitting in the drawer, totally pristine, totally beautiful, and totally useless. Even though it's still in great nick, the utensil hasn't really fulfilled its purpose because it hasn't done what it was designed to do. And this is the crux of what Jesus is telling his disciples in chapter 12 of John. In the previous section, Jesus has just arrived in Jerusalem as king riding on a donkey. There are palm fronds on the ground and everyone is suitably excited. And the disciples can't believe it. Their great teacher is being recognized as king. But this is not the end of the story. Jesus is not designed just to be a teacher. But as Jesus plainly tells them, his hour has now come. Up until that point, he has been an influential teacher and healer, and telling key people all throughout the gospel that his hour has not yet come. But this is where it changes. Now that he's got the attention of everyone around him, he has to show them the true purpose of what he came to earth for. The real purpose of his birth, his life, and his ministry leads up to his death and resurrection, his life as payment for the sins of the whole world. His purpose is not to be a teacher who sits on a pedestal and remains, like our gospel reading tells us, like a single kernel of wheat. But his purpose is to die and to scatter that kernel of wheat, that many people may be raised up back into life and into relationship with God. Now, this is messy because it's not as simple as tarnishing a shiny new kitchen utensil or cutting down a few kernels of wheat. This is the life and death of one of history's greatest teachers. And Jesus acknowledges himself that his soul is troubled. Later on in John, we read about the time that Jesus spends in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he even prays to God. He asks that it might be taken from him. Then he acknowledges, "Your will be done," because he knows that his purpose in life is to be more than just a teacher, more than just a healer. Jesus knows and accepts his full promise that his life is given that God may be glorified and that all people might be reconciled to God. He is a seed to be scattered so that many more may grow. So as we draw ever closer to Palm Sunday this coming Sunday and reliving that passion narrative, Jesus' walk to the cross, I'd like to ask you, and I'd love to encourage you to stop, to think, to pray. Are you meeting your purposes as God's child? Undoubtedly, you are doing amazing things for family, for friends, for work. But are you fulfilling your full purpose as God intended it to be? Do you know what God has intended for you? Can you see the gifts that he has given you? And can you recognize how you can use them for his glory? Are you a kernel that remains a single seed, or are you bearing seed for God? I pray that as we draw ever closer to Easter, you may know the love of God the Father who created you for good works. You may know the courage of Jesus to know and live out God's purpose for your life. And that may you hear the wisdom of the Holy Spirit to know how God is calling you to fulfill that purpose in his mission. God bless. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye.